Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate Investor Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andressa.
Investors, as we all know, financing deals in today's market can be a bit challenging at times. If you're looking at funding your next real estate transaction, we are so excited to introduce to you Fund That Flip.
Fund That Flip is a lending partner dedicated to grow your real estate investment portfolio. They specialize in fix and flip, buy and hold, new construction, and cash out refi for 1 to 4 units.
Ladies, we have known the founder, Matt, and his team for many years now, and we can assure you that their support goes beyond just lending money. They become a true partner.
So if you're looking for great terms and reliable service, check out fundthatflip.com/investher.
Hey, everybody, this is Liz.
And this is Palek.
And this is Pili.
And you are back with us on the Real Estate Investor Show. So excited to have all of you back here. I have two amazing guests with us today. I'm running solo. We miss you, Andressa, as always, my cohort, my partner in crime. But we are trudging through today on PodMax. And today's a special episode talking with these two amazing women in multifamily, as moms, as women. So I'm going to have them both introduce themselves briefly. We're just going to change up our flow a little bit. And then we're going to get into some really neat topics around money, around risk, and around just mom and guilt and just things we deal with on a daily basis. So thanks for being back with us, our amazing investor community. So Palak, why don't you start a little bit about who you are, and go there. And also, both of them have been on our sorry to interrupt. This is like a little bit of a live session, but both of them have been on our podcast before. So I will put that in the show notes of what episodes. So definitely check both of those episodes out. They're great episodes. So when you share a little about who you are, I want you to share a little bit about what propelled you to, just to be involved in real estate, to take on this for yourself in your life. As a woman, as a mom, etc. And then we'll have Pili do the same, and then we'll go from there.
So, hi, my name is Palek, and I have two businesses. We have Open Spaces Capital, which is the investing side of our business, and then with that we have about 4 million in real estate, about $1 million in revenue. And then Open Spaces Women, which is the education side of my business, where I coach women to do the same thing that I did. So in terms of how I got here, so I'm a mechanical engineer. I worked in corporate for 17 years, and I remember it being great until I had kids. So I was traveling all over the world. My job was to teach other CEOs, or teach CEOs. I wasn't a CEO, I was an engineer. Teach CEOs how to change their process in their factories to increase their bottom line. And it was amazing because every time I visited a new country, I changed how things were happening in that factory. But at the end of the day, I was changing the bottom line for somebody else. Sure. I was at a job. And then my husband and I decided to have kids, and I realized that I rarely got to see them. I remember just getting resentful over time and thinking, like, is this why I waited so long to have a family, to like not even see it? See them. And then I was, I would pump breast milk in like this office covered with newspapers and sit there and think, this is what I climbed the corporate ladder to do, like sit here and do a conference call with this office covered with newspapers. So anyway, I said to my boss,
good vision I have right now, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. I asked my boss for flexibility, and it's just really hard as a corporate couple to have that corporate life and then have little kids, and I asked for flexibility and it wasn't very well received. So after spending a few months in turmoil, we decided to become a single income family. And I wanted to be a full-time investor while being with my kids, which was insane but amazing. And so it has been an amazing journey. That's how I got here.
I want to dissect a little bit of that in a moment. That's great. Thank you. So Pili.
So my name is Pili Yarusi. So we also have two different parts of our investment company. We have Yarusi Holdings, which is our holdings group. That's where we keep all of our investments. We have about 800 doors. And then we have a couple of other things that we're doing. We have our Multifamily Foundation, which is our educational program. And we also rebranded our podcast. We still have our old podcast for everybody else that listens. We have the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast. But in our effort, all of 2019 was all about focusing. So my husband and I, Jason, we honed in and realized we were doing so many things. We were flipping, we were wholesaling, we were just doing everything. If it was real estate, we were doing it. And we were realizing we're good. We're honestly good at everything we're doing. But I mean, would you want to be good or would you rather be excellent in something? We realized that we were excellent in multifamily. So we got rid of the wholesaling business. We got rid of the flipping business. And we went all in on multifamily. And so we rebranded our podcast as the Multifamily Foundation Podcast. And that's what we focus in on. So how did I get there? Jason and I met back in 2003. Long story short, we got together in 2012. And in 2014, we were pregnant with our first child. And I didn't want to go back to the restaurant business. There was no way. There's no way I was going to bartend. There was no way I was going to run restaurants. So Jason and I sat down. We were just like, okay, what can we do? Well, why don't we do this thing called real estate? And that's how we got started. We got started in flipping and wholesaling. And we figured I could do that and take care of our children and really like build out from there. Of course, you learn that, investing isn't stay at home and like watch the money flow in. There's so much you have to. It's not.
Oh my gosh.
It's so not. I was like, wait a minute. You mean I can't just do this? Like I can't just like sit here and like the money's just gonna no.
Does that mean passive income?
Yeah, I thought when they said passive income, it was gonna be like
on the beach.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was just gonna happen in a year. No. So it's been a learning process since then, and we have three amazing children, and we've learned how to systematize our business so that our children come first. That's like the main thing in our heads. Our children are first. Well, of course, our relationship is, but our children, that's our big why. So that's why we're here.
Oh, I have a lot of questions for both of you. So a couple questions. Let's start with money, because I think that is a big one, especially if you want to get involved in real estate investing. People are like, oh, you don't need money. I'm like, you do need money. Maybe it's not your own money, but someone needs to have money to invest in real estate if you want to actually purchase properties. Maybe from a wholesaling or other, perspective, you can do it creatively, but buying property, you still need money, right? So I'm curious to hear both of your thoughts on finding money, speaking about money. I know as women, there's a lot of stuff around that. I don't know if I was taught how to really go there as a kid or as a woman or as a person. It's a very still taboo topic, and you have to become very comfortable, right? As investors, it's hard not to talk about money in real estate investing. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on ways to move through that. How do you find money? How are you comfortable talking about it? Where does that come from? So let's get your thoughts there.
So in the beginning, when both my husband and I had a full-time job, the only amount of time we had to invest in real estate with 2 kids and 2 full-time jobs was to just buy a property and rent it out. And we didn't know about LLCs and commercial financing, and we would just scrape up every dollar we had, enough to put a down payment on a property, get a conventional loan, and buy that property. So what I would do is every month from my W-2, I would put more money into taxes every month. That way I would get like a nice tax return at the end of the year and then buy a property with it.
That's an interesting strategy.
And just to force myself to save money, we borrowed from our 401ks at times. You can get a loan from your own 401k if you have a full-time job. Get a loan from 401k, use that to put a down payment on a property. And my husband sometimes, he would, like if we were just short a little bit, he would sell stocks to kind of fill in. He had some stock options at that time. So that's how we were doing it in the beginning, to like scrape up every dollar, buy one property. And then once I quit my job, we didn't even have that second income. There was no avenue to save, no, second W-2. So at that time, what I did was I had maintained a good credit. I was like diligent about paying bills and maintained a good credit. And Bank of America offered me 4% upfront and 0% APR for 18 months, like a personal line of credit. So I borrowed $55,000 when I quit my job from that, and then did a bunch of deals with that. And then we do value add investing, so we cash out at the end. So cashed out and then paid that back. But I would use that with caution, because when you borrow from a personal line of credit, it hits your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So that shows up on your credit as credit card debt, as revolving debt, not the good kind of debt. So that was a little bit hard to get through, but that gave us a starting point.
That's a really good point of like how the different ways to actually finance your deals is going to actually impact those really important things like credit, and that's becomes everything. And if you don't have credit,
and especially when you go to refinance the property that you renovated with that money, the bank it's like a chicken or the egg thing.
So you went down conventional road. You also did you do any sort of private money, or is it more like borrowing against the assets that you had? Really?
Yeah, and then we use a lot of hard and soft money for our deals. We haven't done private money yet.
Okay. Awesome.
Well, I think a lot of investors start off that way. I know we started off that way too. We just thought, okay, how much money do we have? What kind of money can we put into these deals? And that's how we started with our flipping business. We'd buy one, flip it, buy another one, flip it. Like it was one at a time, and that's not scalable on any level. So even like taking that notion and putting into large multifamily, that's not scalable either. So you do have to learn how to use banks and debt and other people's money. And so when it comes to other people's money, I don't like asking for it. I don't. I give value first. I mean, that's the first thing you do when you, like, for instance, if we first met and I was like, so would you like to invest in my deal? I have this deal. It's amazing.
You don't say that just like you just meet someone in like Walmart. Yeah, that's a great way to like raise money. Yeah. By the way, doing some shopping. Can you invest with me? Yeah.
Here's a hammer. Let me hit you over the head with it.
Creepy.
So you add value. You let people know. You build that relationship, and then it's sort of like builds on that to like, oh, by the way, this is what I do. If I can somehow help you with what I do, then great. Come and talk to me about it. And you kind of leave the door open. At least that's how I start the conversation. It's not, even with the people that I know that invest, I just kind of say, this is what I do, and I kind of leave it there. And if they decide to pick it up, great. If not, then maybe it's for them another day.
Yeah, that's a really comfortable way of talking about like, just money and investments. And it could be very awkward. And I agree with you. Like when you say like, oh, I don't want to ask for money and I don't want to put people out, you're providing an investment opportunity, right? It's the same thing as like value. You're not asking for money. This is not a donation.
Yes.
That's different, right? If they're donating to your cause, awesome. But that's not what you're doing. You're providing value from you're investing in my deal and I'm going to give you a certain return, right?
Well, that's
and
why
tax benefit, huge tax
exactly.
benefit.
Well, and that's why I don't actually like the term money raiser. I like the term opportunity provider because you're providing you're providing an opportunity to people.
Right.
You're not, yes, you're raising money, but it sounds so crass, like I'm raising money. But if you turn it on its head and say, I'm providing you an opportunity, this is what it is.
To invest, yeah.
This is and as long as the numbers pan out, this is a great opportunity. Here it is. If you want it, great.
Yeah. Love that. As women, as not just women, but as investors, we there's a common road we do have to transition, right? So we're using our own resources. We were the same way, although we started borrowing money very early on because we didn't have that much. So we're like, Dad, can you give us the down payment on our first property? So our dad was our first private money partner. And that was a good thing. And we paid him back in full, which is great. But it could be very scary. And it's like you're borrowing money from family and friends. It could be it can ruin relationships, right? And it can really end up in a different way. So as the women listening to this are navigating, a lot of women I talk to have done deals. They have 4 or 5 properties, 10 properties. Now they're trying to scale. And when you're scaling, it's a different ballgame, right? You can't just use your own resources unless you've been endowed like $1 million, you hit the lottery. Like, I don't know about you both, but that hasn't happened to me.
Nope.
So you have to start leveraging other people's money and resources, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. So how have you both been able to move through that? I like what you're saying, Pili, about the whole, I put it out there, and this is an opportunity. So it's how you present things is also part of it. How have you dealt with that, Pili? Because you've also been, working through that with the women you coach, the ladies you talk to, of like, how do you get to be more, just comfortable with it all?
So do you mean comfortable around the conversation of money or taking risks?
And segue into the risk taking, because money is connected to risk taking. So I think it's very, very connected.
Yeah, I feel like risk taking and dealing with a lot of money, especially from somebody like me who comes from being an employee. Just like 4 years ago, I was an employee. You have to get out of that employee mindset, first of all. You have to understand that nobody's going to tell you what to do anymore. It's your responsibility, and your future is going to go where you're going to take it. It's not a boss is going to really dictate it anymore, which is great, but it's hard for somebody who's always been an employee to start, step into that role and start making those big financial decisions. Yeah. So one is like getting out of the employee mindset. And then I say, I don't know if I read it somewhere, but I say like flex your risk taking muscle. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. And for, just being an engineer, I feel like I put numbers on everything. So what I do is, if I'm uncomfortable with a risk, I'll put a dollar amount to it. I'll be like, okay, worst case scenario, best case scenario. Mm-hmm. Best case scenario, fantastic. This is how this deal is going to go. Worst case scenario, I will lose, say, $10,000. And so am I willing to pay $10,000 to go through the learning experience that this risk is going to allow me to have? And put a dollar amount to it. And then if you're comfortable with it, take that risk. So I say just once you keep doing it more and more, you get more and more comfortable assigning some number to the risk that you're taking and then moving forward with that.
I like that a lot. That's a really good strategy, because then you're able to go into it like excitedly versus like, oh, I don't know about this decision. And then you're already nervous, right? You're just going to bring that energy. That's really
especially if you're like connected really with the money aspect of it, then you know how much this risk is going to cost you, it's huge. That's right. To have that knowledge, because you figure like coaching programs these days cost anywhere from $500, $5,000, $50,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the cost of doing business, and with every failure, there's a cost to it. But if you fail and fail quickly, then it's worth jumping into. So I can totally see where you're coming from. Right.
Assign a number to it and then decide if it's worth it.
I wish we did that early on. I think about, you think about yourself and you're like, I think, and I think sometimes being naive is helpful when you're young, like before kids. Mm-hmm. Like the decisions I made early on, I think in our investing career, me and my husband, I'm like, I would never make that now, right? I would never do what I did then, but I was in my 20s. So, I'm only 28 now. No, I'm joking. But I'm really not that funny. But no, it's true. It's like you really do. Like it's very powerful to think of it in that way. Like, what is the cost to this? And I think those numbers increase as you increase in your business. Mm-hmm. So this, like, if you lost 5,000, you'll get to the point. I was talking to a woman and she's like talking about how much money she's about to lose on a project she's doing, and I was empathetic, but the number, she said, "Oh, I'm going to lose $25,000," and I said, I totally get that, because I've been there and it is hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard losing $10. Let's be honest. Yeah. I have a hard time losing any amount of money because I'm pretty cheap. But you want to get to the point where $25,000 isn't that big of a deal. And I know that's hard to say, right? Yeah. And to feel, because even in your gut, you're like, it's a lot of money. And it is. But you have to you have to move through it, because this business of real estate investing is going to kick you around a little bit. You're going to lose some money at some point. I don't know how people don't ever lose any money and they're on podcasts and they're like, I'm amazing and I just make money every left and right. That's awesome. But so let's talk about, when did you start? How did you start? Right. I don't know. We started when we were young. We knew nothing. So we got beat up a lot. and we lost a lot of money, and it's not fun, but your risk-taking muscle, if you will, increases. How have you been able to move through it?
Move through the risks. It's just, like I said before, it's like, it's knowing that at some point you're going to fail. It's just going to happen. You're going to fail. You're going to lose money, but move through it as quick as possible. Let yourself have the 5 minutes of a pity party. Like seriously, let yourself have a pity party. Let yourself be like, oh my goodness, I did this and I did this to myself and all these bad things happen and blah, blah, blah. And then realize, okay, take a deep breath and then realize what choices you made or didn't make that made this happen, that made this failure happen. Look for the good in the failure. Look for what did you learn. Find those things that you learned. And again, if you're really, really into the money, then assign those things that you learned like a value.
Yeah, put a value to it.
Put a value to it. Like, I lost X amount of dollars. So this thing that I did wrong, I hired the wrong contractor for the job. That cost me this amount of money. So next time when I hire a contractor, I'm going to make sure I hire the right one, or I'm going to lose this X amount of money again. So that's a really excellent way to think of things. For me, I let myself have that moment. I give myself grace, and then I jump into the next thing. Yeah. Because there's no sense in dwelling in your failure. Learn from it, move on.
Yeah.
It's also important to know upfront that no matter how much information you gather and how much knowledge you have, there's still gonna be failures.
Yes.
There is no way to avoid it, no matter what level of investing you're at, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, and I've been at this since 2004. We bought our first duplex. So that's 14 years. And there's times in our business this year, my husband and I were going through some of our goals and some of the projects. And I'm like, how did that happen? And we've been doing this for as long as we have. And to your point, there's a lot of reasons, and you assess it. We're going to move on. We're not going to do that again. But you just keep creating more that's, and you just want to get less than, okay, we're not going to do that again. That's not, that doesn't work for us or our, for our goals and this. But it's hard sometimes because you do feel like, I've done this. We've been there. But lessons have to come back, and you have to move through them and not keep repeating them.
Yes.
Which is what the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing over and over again. But the business grows when you grow.
Yes.
Your business can only grow as much as you grow. I find that if I'm playing a bigger game in life and I'm putting myself out there, then the business will grow along with it versus the other way, right?
Yes.
We have these big goals and we're like, well, you got to be a bigger person to meet those goals. Better habits, better mindset, whatever it might be. So let's go there for a second too. I mean, both successful women in this business, not only for your own portfolios, but teaching other people, which is awesome. So what have you found to be your best mindset kind of strategy, or I don't say strategy, that seems a little much, but strategy. But what is your favorite, way of being or thought process to set yourself up for the most success? So,
am I going first?
Yeah, you're going first. I'm totally
looking at me,
staring down at you. Please answer my question.
So for me, the biggest thing has been just focusing on what's important to me and then not worrying about the rest. So I get this, I hear this a lot about this whole invisible workload that women talk about. We have this, and it's true. I mean, I'm not trying to undermine that. We all have this invisible workload.
Define the invisible workload, if you don't mind.
So what's the invisible workload? The invisible workload is all of the work that women do in relationships or in raising a family that no one sees or appreciates, like writing Christmas cards and organizing birthday parties and remembering to send a present to their mother-in-law, or all of these things, or making sure the kids' project is complete on time.
They're doing their homework.
These things don't just happen on their own.
Right.
These things take time, and they take time away from our days that we should be either spending with our kids or on our business.
Right.
Got it. I've actually never heard the term, so it's. I totally understand what you're saying.
Somebody was just asking me about that, and then somehow I feel like when you're exposed to a term, it
I'll
keeps
see it everywhere.
appearing. Yeah. So I see that all the time, and for me, the easiest thing to keep all of that at bay is I just focus on what's important to me and not worry about the rest. And it's hard, like there's like, I'm a very OCD person. It becomes really hard to do that. There is like Marie Kondos and I don't know. There's like all of this stuff out there that we're supposed to be looking at. And but I just feel like when it comes to family, for me, the most important thing is this is why I quit my job. It was a visceral need to be around my kids. Like there is no denying it. I want to spend time with my husband and my kids. And everything else doesn't matter to me. Like my daughter didn't have a birthday party this year, neither did my son actually. But almost every week I've taken a day off and spent it with them. They're not in kindergarten yet, so we can do that. I've taken a day off and we've gone to the zoo. We've ran into each other in the zoo once. We've done all kinds of things together. And for me, time is more important than having any of these superficial things. So that's all I focus on.
Got it.
And then when it comes to the business, again, to keep the amount of work that needs to get done at bay, we have one strategy. I know why I'm doing it. We do buy and holds because I want to build income and wealth. And I don't look at any other shiny strategies out there. And that's all I want to do, and that's all I can do.
You got your priorities straight.
And then
Love it.
everything else can be automated, delegated, or my favorite, eliminated. Not sending Christmas cards, or throwing birthday parties.
It's a conscious choice.
It's a conscious choice to just...
Well, and you have to be so like mindful of why are you doing it, right? It's like checking boxes off, right? I'm the mom. I have to do this and I have to throw the birthday party. Why am I doing it? Is this going to bring me joy? Someone asked me around Thanksgiving, why are you going to Black Friday shopping and getting up at 5 a.m.? I'm like, that brings me joy. I actually really enjoy it. No, I really do. I met my mom. We had our coffees. And it's not about the savings, although I am very cheap. I like saving money. But it was just fun to do with my mom. And I was like, this brings me joy. And you have to ask yourself those questions. Not always those shopping things bring you joy, but it did in that moment. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, well, whatever.
I was going to say Black Friday doesn't bring me joy.
No.
I'm at home.
Most people, that's true. How about for you? I love that. I love what you're saying, Palak, because it is, I love the term invisible workload.
Yeah.
And I think then reconciling it and how do you feel about it and how do you move through it is really, really powerful. How do you manage that? You have 3 little ones.
It's all about systematizing everything. I find those things that I don't have systems for are the things that go first. So I have systems for, the morning time, how my mornings go. Jason wakes up at 4:13. I
Exactly.
usually wake up
4:13.
4:13. Exactly.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's a very specific number.
I usually wake up around 6
Okay.
because I'm usually the one, because he wakes up early, gets his day started early. I usually wake up if the kids get up, if the kids need help during the evening. And we have these systems for our morning. I get the kids ready. He comes and helps me after he's done his morning thing. I go and do my morning thing. And then I take the kids to school. He goes to work. And then I join him. And my work day is from 10 to 3. That's it. And this, okay, so I'll continue with that. Okay, so 3 o'clock, I pick up my son from kindergarten, and then I pick up my daughter and my other son from daycare. And from that time forward, that's me and the kids. So let me backtrack over to between 10 and 3. Between 10 and 3, I'm not allowed to have mom guilt. That does not come in, because that was a big factor back when I was like, because I've been basically either pregnant or with children during our entire real estate journey. We started when I was pregnant, and we've had 3 kids now.
Sure.
So I didn't know how to deal with that. So I needed to systematize everything. So even my work day is systematized. I'm a full practice of the one thing. I figure out what is that one thing. And Jason and I actually talk about it in the morning. I always go to Jason. I'm like, Jason, do you have something that needs to get done today? Because in our relationship, he's more of the visionary and I'm the implementer. So I know if there's something that he needs implemented, I always ask him first. I'm like, is there something you need me to do? Because don't ask me later. Because I'll have to push it to tomorrow. If there's something that is very important that needs to be done today. So, and that gets stuck in, and that's the one thing I need to get done within those hours. And as long as I get that done, my day is complete. If I have time during those hours to do other things, there's always stuff that you can do in this business, always.
Yeah.
Between the podcast and the investments, and there's always something else to do. But Jason and I know that when it comes down to the business or the family, I'm family first. He's business first, and then we mix the two. So in our business, I am more investor relations. I have conversations, because those are things that I can like have a conversation and be like picking up my kids. Like I can extend my work day that way. So yeah, that's basically how I deal with it. Everything is systematized.
Well, and also what you're saying too is more than systematized. You're very clear on clarity of roles.
It has to be.
I mean, you weren't like, well, someday, like you didn't say it like that. You were like, bingo, bango, bingo. Like that's clarity. So that clearly is helpful. I mean, right?
I have to do that because by nature, I'm a very free-flowing, free-spirited person. Like if I could, I'd just be like, yeah, let's kind of do this now. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the zoo whenever we want. No, I have to tell myself, okay, once it hits 10 o'clock, all my like me things, exercising, kids, that stays up there. 10 to 3, it's all business. Once 3 o'clock happens, then I can go back to kids and me time. But those hours, because that's the time that there's freedom in systems, especially for like somebody like me who's just like can be willy-nilly if allowed to be. In those systems, I find the freedom because then now I know, okay, 10 to 3, I can just explore all my creativity and options in business right there. In the morning, I can just like completely focus on my kids and not worry. Like if Jason wants to have a conversation about business, I just like look at him like, is it 10 o'clock yet? It's not 10 o'clock yet. Is it really important? Is it really important? Because if it's really important, then yes. But if it's not important, then it doesn't go into my brain until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I want to be focused for my kids. I don't want them to think, like I was having this conversation with somebody and like the other day I was talking with my son. I was trying to get him to talk with me. And he was like, oh, mommy, I'm busy. I'm doing my work. I was like, okay, when did I say that to him? Because it's on you.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah, the guilt part, I think, I love what you both are saying. I mean, I think the guilt part as a mom, because we have the invisible workload, right, in essence, and it's, a lot of what Sheryl Sandberg said in her Lean In. I don't know if either of you, I'm rereading that. It's a really interesting book. Just about like moving through that and empowerment. It's, it's not to complain. It's actually a very empowering book. But anyway, a lot of like that, okay, I have my work. We got, the kid, the home life, like owning some of that and also speaking up for when you need help. We had interviewed a woman on our podcast, and she was talking a lot about, you don't ask for permission, you ask for support. Yes. And I thought that was a really good distinction because I often will be more like, and I think I have a similar role, Pili, like my husband and I have a business. I'm the real estate investor is like a separate venture, not including my husband, which gives me energy, which I love because I'm like, no, nothing to do with my husband. It's my own thing, with Andressa, but not including my husband. But you have to often look at like, that whole dichotomy of just moving through that in a peaceful way. So where I was going with that, I was asking for support. And I think we have to do that. Like we have to speak up and we have to ask for support because we're like, oh, well, I don't get the support I need, or, oh, I can't get to the gym, or, oh, like it's on us to speak up. Like you have to. And not just, oh, can I? Sometimes I find myself like, can I go to the gym this morning? I'm like, what did I just say? Can I go to the gym? No, I need to go to the gym. When can you support me to go to the gym? And I have a very loving relationship with my husband most of the time, of course. There's some moments when I'm banging his head against the wall. But I do. We have a pretty healthy relationship overall. And I still say stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I need to ask for support. That's on me to change my language, right?
No, I get the same
the mind
way.
Reader, right?
I think my husband's going to read my mind. Yeah. And in the years that we've been together, I more and more realize that's not the case. He can't read my mind. So yes, I have to ask for support. And sometimes those words do come out of my mouth. Oh, is it okay if, or can I? No, because like Jason and I have a huge commitment to self-improvement and physical fitness. Yeah. So I know that if I tell him, how can we make it so I can get to the gym this morning? We try and live our lives by that term. How can I? Yeah. How can we? How can we make this happen? Because we've been on this like physical fitness journey for some time now. And there's certain things that we have to do daily or we're going to fail it. So he knows that if I'm like, I didn't get my second outside workout done.
And you have a very regimented program.
Yes.
Very, very cool what they're doing.
How can we make that happen? He's like, okay, well, let's do this thing, and then you make sure the kids get into bed, and then you can go outside at that time.
Yeah, when I watch Pili's posts on Facebook, and I'm like, I can't get to the gym today, or in my head, I'm like, oh, it's just so hard. And then I look at your post, and she's doing like burpees outside in the snow with her 2 kids just watching, cheering. I'm like, I can get to the gym. Pili's doing that outside. I can do my own thing. I can squeeze in a 20-minute workout. You're like totally my inspiration for working out.
Well, when it comes to that, like I didn't realize I could do that. I'm not a gym buff. I'm not like I grew up like.
But she's outside in the snow working out. Like, right? We have no excuses.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, like no excuses.
And it's hard to make excuses after you see her do that.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is this program, and it's called 75 Hard. If anybody's interested in it,
that's pretty powerful.
It is powerful because it gives you the exact things that you have to do, and it's scalable. All you have to do is get the time in. So it's basically 90 minutes of exercise broken up into 2 45-minute increments because one of them has to be outside, because it just forces you to be in sort of a painful position because you can grow from it, because I hate being cold.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but so 2 45-minute sessions in one day.
Yes.
Okay, so think about that. She's a mom of 3. She's growing a business.
That's amazing.
She has systematized. She clearly asks yourself the question, how can we, right?
Yes.
I mean, most of us are like, I don't know how I would even put that into my schedule. And I'm not asking my question, how can you?
Yes.
And that's what we do need to do a better job of,
right.
all of us.
Yes.
How can we? How can we be a great mom and run a business and grow a portfolio? And that's what we're all about with the
And take
Investor
care
Show.
of ourselves.
And take care of ourselves, primarily.
And
inspired by your 75 Hard, my husband and I actually hired somebody to show up at our house so that we would work out. This is, I say they because it's a gender non-conforming trainer. They just show up and we have no choice.
Perfect.
I saw that and I was like, I have to do something. Somebody's going to have to make me do this. So that's what we decided.
And how's that go? When did you start it?
6 months ago, maybe.
That's awesome.
Nice.
They just literally come. It's like a personal trainer from a gym. Okay.
It's a personal trainer.
Very cool.
Yeah, they show up and we have to do whatever they tell us to do at that point.
that is awesome.
It is awesome, but to know yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So if I want this in my life, how can I set myself up for success, right? Not like I need to be doing this myself because I'm whatever. Like we just need to love ourselves and be graceful with ourselves. And
yes.
If you're someone who's going to go outside and like Miss Pili and work out in the snow, I love the image I have of you the other day of you in the snow, like literally snow coming down. She's like, I got this. I'm like, she's too much. She's like, all right, I got to get to the gym. Or if you need someone to come to your house. And I
won't do it unless they show up.
But know yourself and then do it and don't make excuses.
The funny thing is I'm laughing because I can't tell you how upset I was. I was just like, I'm snowing and I have to be outside because I have to do my workout. You know what? I'm going to do burpees. I'm going to get wet. Burpees. And I'm just going to,
burpees are hard for me on a good day in like a gym, and I'm like got my water right there, not in the snow with my kid. Literally, kids are outside watching their mom. I love that image.
They were playing in the snow. That's how I get most of my workouts in.
I love that. But I mean, moving through the guilt of I love what you said, Palak, about what is most important to me, and not just doing things because of everyone else doing them, and then to be able to systematize your life, and get out of your comfort zone and take little steps, right? You both have been amazing. We usually ask questions at the end. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm just going to kind of, we're bringing it for this episode. But I'd say a question for both of you as we wrap up. What's one thing as a woman in this business that, what's the one advantage of being a woman? We talk a lot about this is a more male-dominated industry, and I love this community of women we're building around really not just taking care of ourselves financially, but taking care of ourselves in a balanced way, because we need to do that as women, because we have all these other things around us. So what's one thing that you would say for yourself that, what's the question I just asked? I totally forgot the question I asked. I'm like losing. This is like mom brain 2.0.
Can you ask again?
Can you ask again? I might have to ask.
No, stop, because then I'm going to forget.
No, seriously, this is not even planned.
It's the one thing that as a woman that you feel that you have an advantage over.
Yes, thank you, Pili.
You're
Oh my
welcome.
gosh.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Okay.
Lord.
pregnancy brain doesn't go away.
When I'm thinking about the question, you don't need to know why I forgot it, but that's another story for another day.
So I still choose to keep property management in-house, and it's because I like working with our tenants, and I don't do all the work myself. No
toilets.
one can grow that way, but I keep overall in-house property management because I feel like I don't see a lot of men talking about property management as a hospitality business. And I don't know if it's what I bring to the table being a woman, but I like to treat my tenant relationship as a hospitality business. It affects my bottom line because they stay longer. And, I have lower vacancy, and when they leave the property in a better condition because of the relationship with me and because of the service I provide. So I feel like that's maybe one thing I bring.
I love it.
Being a woman.
I actually
Huge
really,
advantage.
really, really like that because I always talk about, because you go on Facebook and you always see people say, oh yeah, I just took down this billion unit building, but nobody ever talks about the asset management. Nobody ever talks about the aftercare of the building and tenant processes and really taking care of your tenants. So that's fantastic that you are like singularly focused on that.
Yeah.
For me, the benefit of being a woman, I almost forgot too.
I didn't forget this time. I actually remember. Jeez.
I feel like I bring a softness because my husband and I do this as a partnership. So I find that, and I've actually had a male investor tell me this. He's like, I just kind of like talking to you better just because I feel more comfortable talking to you and talking about my money with you and talking about like what I want to do going into the future. And I don't know if it's because of I'm a woman or just because of the way I am, because Jason and I are completely different people, no matter if we're male or female. But as a woman, I feel like I can have these conversations and not bang people over the head and not make people feel like I'm like trying to source money from them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create relationships.
Yeah.
I like create a relationship with my family. I nurture that relationship. I create relationships with my investors, and I nurture those relationships, and they become my friends. A lot of them are my friends.
Yeah.
And I want, before I go, if I can like say one thing that I found that has helped throughout everything is that all you have to do is open your mouth and talk. Like, tell people what you're passionate about, because obviously the people in this room are passionate about what we're doing. So why not talk about it? Because I found every time that I haven't talked about it, I've lost opportunities. So you're making opportunities for yourself.
I love it. That's a really good point. Well, you two have been amazing. This little special episode of the Real Estate Investor Show. So thank you for listening, amazing women out there. Thank you for listening to our show and watching this on YouTube. Before we go, how can the women listening and watching learn more about these two amazing ladies? You have to watch both of them. Great, great, great women. So how can they learn more about you and all the good stuff you're up to?
So we have a free training set up if anybody's interested. openspaceswomen.com/webinar. I talk about, you can learn a little bit more about me if you want, or you can skip that part. And and we talk about the 4 pillars of scaling a small single and smaller multifamily portfolio.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up.
I know. That's cool.
The part where I show my kids' photos.
No.
Stop.
I'm going to look at that part first.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can actually just email me, Pili at yarusiholdings.com, YARUSI holdings.com. My name is spelled Pili. Email me directly. You can also find us, my husband and I, on our podcast, the Multifamily Foundation podcast, or the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast.
Awesome. Well, both of you, thank you so much for being on this special edition of the Real Estate Investor Show. And we love you, Andressa. We missed you terribly, but we had a fun time here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And both of you, thank you so much. Good luck to both of you. You're up to some amazing things.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share it with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.